Bosh, episode 2 of the Squeeze the Neck podcast with my guest, Louis Bricusse.
Yes, sir.
Top man, thanks for doing this, mate.
No,
good
it's
to
a pleasure,
see you.
bro. Yeah,
So, first off, let's just start at the top. Fight coming up August 3rd.
Yeah,
Tell
man.
us.
Yes, August 3rd. I'll be fighting on the Fight Star show. It's at the O2, the Indigo, which is really exciting. I was meant to fight on the Fight Star show earlier this year, but I had a cut, and so I pulled out, unfortunately. Yeah, just looking forward to sort of getting in there and doing my bits.
Nice,
you know?
mate. And fifth one as an amateur?
Yeah, hopefully last one as an amateur. I think it being at the O2 as well was like it'd be great to make that walk as an amateur before I fight there as a pro. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like it's less new and intimidating. If that makes sense.
Also, nice, mate. And you've been at welterweight the whole career, is it?
Yeah. There was talks about going down to lightweight. The last fight I was going to have was going to be at lightweight, and I would have made it, but it was fucking rank, bro. If I'm honest, it was like it's about 8 weeks of watching calories. I don't really know what I'd blow back up to, and just fuck that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot on the body.
Yeah,
I think.
man.
How much you walk around? You're a big boy, aren't you?
I'm 86 now, but I was around sort of 82, but I wasn't lifting at all. I've started eating loads. I've started doing a lot of S&C again. And the plan is just to get a bit bigger, and like it's important to enjoy your life outside of fighting. Do you know what I mean? If I'm going to fight at a lightweight, I need to be watching my calories constantly.
What's 77 like for you to get to?
When I was at 82, a piece of piss. I could do it in a week. You know, the last time I fought, I was eating M&Ms the Sunday before I started my weight cut. With at this weight now, you know, a little bit harder, but. Yeah,
but still comfortable, still. You look healthy at 86, don't you? You're not a fat bastard.
Yeah, that's it, man.
It's all good, man. But 30 years old as well, you said, right?
30 years old,
so your body's not getting any smaller, is it? You're at your stage now where it's like coming. How do you feel at 30? Do you feel still good?
Yeah, I feel good, man. There's definitely when I started sort of MMA, or the MMA journey at about 24, right? And I could do 3 sessions a day, and I'd feel absolutely nothing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Now. There's a lot more ice baths and saunas and unwanted rest days. Yeah. And there's always a fucking niggle somewhere. But like, I feel good. I think whatever age you start, you're going to be like, I wish I started earlier. Yeah. You know, I'd like to be where I am and 22, but I'm not. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. You are where you are now, innit? And I come from a boxing background, and I know people that was in the boxing club from the age of 6. I didn't start till I was a teenager. Yeah. And by the time we was 20, they were done. They was bored. Everything hurt. So I think you've got time. It's not so much age, as long as you're not too old.
I think that's one of the coaches here was like, it's miles on the clock, right? And if I look, I think he's 38. A guy called Mark Mene, he's 42, I think. And they're both fucking studs. Do you know what I mean? They're not like. It's
not like it used to be, is it? 38 is not old if you look after yourself.
Yeah, that's it. They eat good. They train well. They train smart. You know, Nathan's 37, I think, and he's got, you know, years left in him.
Nathan.
Yeah.
What's his name? Nathan Jones.
No, Mr. Nathan Jones. I keep speaking about him on podcasts. You know what I mean? I'm like, but yeah, so I think like as long as I train clever, spar clever, you know, keep myself sort of mentally, physically, spiritually in check. Like I've got a good few years in the bank.
Nice. Know? And what's your plans with it, mate? What's your ambitions with it?
I want to be. I'd like to be in the top 10 in Europe. Really, that's the goal. I really like Octagon. I want to fight on Octagon. I think that's a cool show. I think if you're in this and you're in this properly, why are you doing it for anything else other than like straps? I was
thinking about them 3 little letters. UFC. Is that in your mind?
If the call ever came, it would be amazing. I'm a long way from it now, right? I know Dana's not mad on signing like 30-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? Like older athletes. For me to get to sort of like 8-0 as a pro is like, it's going to take sort of 3-4 years anyway. I think be unrealistic, but slightly realistic with your goals, if that makes sense.
But have you seen that Dana White looking for a fight stuff? I don't know when it was. It was a few years ago, and there was a guy, and it was 39. Yeah. Dana was watching it in the crowd. Yeah. And he jumps on the side, and he's going, "Please, Dana, please!" And I think Dana gave him a shot.
Yeah.
He's all fresh to go. But anyway, let's go back a bit, mate. How did you start martial arts? Was you a boxer first or something? Or
no, I wasn't. I was always very like, I loved sport in school. I was never like the most athletic or like talented, but I fucking wanted to win. Do you know what I mean? It was more about like how much can I stick it on the other team. Do you know what I mean?
What's this football we're talking?
Football. I played rugby a little bit, but I was never really any good at rugby. It was more sort of football, but even rugby, I wanted to win. What I lacked in like knowledge of the game, I guess I made up for in like I was up for. I guess putting my body like fully on the line. Do you know what I mean?
That's a bit of a fighter story. That we've all got a bit of one of them,
I kind of had like a bit of a sabbatical from any sort of training. I was working as a scaff, and I was doing a lot of stuff that like working as a scaff involves. And then I found the gym again at about 21. Really fell in love with it. It gave me purpose. I love lifting weights. I love being fit. At 24, my mate was like, I found this thing called jiu-jitsu. You've got to come and give it a try. And I had fucking no idea. I sort of knew what the UFC was, but no idea what the rolling around on the floor bits. I just thought it was exactly that, rolling around on the floor. Anyway, I've gone to this gi session at Kingston Jiu-Jitsu, and I've got I think I bought a gi before I even done the first class, right? I was like, I'm gonna do this, yeah. I got absolutely smashed by a computer nerd in a gi who was probably like 20 kilos less than me, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. I can remember the adrenaline on the way home. I was like, yeah, I've been meaning to do this like my whole life. Do you know what I mean? And you're kind of discouraged to like impose your will or fight, and I don't know, it felt really right, and I loved it. And that kind of sparked it all. You know, very quickly I became completely obsessed. I've mentioned it before. I loved the groundwork side of it, but I was like, how the fuck do I get there? Do you know what I mean? How do I end up on the floor? I sort of discovered collegiate wrestling, Greco wrestling, freestyle wrestling. I saw what they looked like at athletes and how they moved, and I was like, okay, these guys really interest me, less than like the fat black belts. So I started wrestling. My game became very sort of wrestling based. Then I kind of got into MMA and saw that it was, you know, the wrestlers were doing it all. Then I started boxing and kickboxing. I found like the boxing and the wrestling really complemented each other. Like I said, I was completely obsessed. I was working a full-time job, but all my money was going on like private sessions or multiple gym memberships. I was up at fuck knows what time in the morning. And I was like, if I'm going to put so much energy into something, like I have to compete. Do you know what I mean? Had a boxing fight, won, jiu-jitsu comp, won, MMA fight, won, and it's kind of like it kept going. And now I think it's 6 years ago I started doing it, and I'm fully in. You know, there's sort of nothing. There's nothing else.
That's good, mate. That's nice. And in Kingston, was you at the place it was like a shipping place? Was it like a maritime type office?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about? There was one there. That's why I started wrestling.
I think I do know the place. I knew a guy, Nick Miles, used to train there. But I was at Kingston Jiu-Jitsu, which was in like Tiffin.
Oh, okay. So it's a bit up the road. Yeah, this one was like near where Oceana's used to be. Okay, the old Oceana's, which is something else now. But Lubo used to teach in there. Yeah. Are you aware of Lubo? So shout out Lubo. Best
Dean, one of
wrestling coach I've ever had. He was amazing.
I've heard
I was just lucky with him in there. I just walked in there one day with my jiu-jitsu coach to do some wrestling, and he was teaching class.
Nice.
And it could have been anyone, right? He was just a wrestler. So we went in there, and I was fucking changed my style. A bit like you, really. My whole style changed. I was very wrestling heavy, and sort of took it from there. And then I was actually lucky enough to go to Bulgaria with him for a week.
Oh, amazing!
And that was an eye opener. That was like, you know, it's one of them places where people pretend they don't speak English till they see you training hard type thing.
Okay, nice.
It was mad. But anyway, so your fight coming up. I watched one of your fights, and it seems like you're a very wrestling heavy sort of character.
I think. Yes, definitely in the past. I've also like I've known that was my closest path to victory. I recently started training sort of in the last year at GB Top Team.
Okay.
And now I know what good wrestlers are, right? I know what good MMA grapplers are. The main coaches are Brad Pickett and Ash Grimshaw.
Okay.
Obviously, Brad's like known for his sort of like MMA grappling.
Beat the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
Beat Demetrius Johnson back in the day.
Ash is a fucking wizard on the floor. But everyone's got a very complete style then. And I went there sort of thinking I was a wrestler, and I'm like, okay, I'm not. Do you know what I mean? Like these guys are really good at this shit.
How they run it? They do pure wrestling as well, not just sort of wrestling classes.
Yes and no. Do you know what I mean?
But sorry, when I say, I mean more sort of like wrestling, not jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So Mondays is pretty much full whack wrestling rounds.
Nice.
We've started putting the gloves on, so it's like more catered towards what we're going to do. But like we wrestle hard there. We cage wrestle on a Friday. There's a wrestling session Monday night as well as Wednesday night. Like we do a lot of grappling there, you know.
Nice.
But yeah, back to sort of like my game. I think my game has developed, and now like I feel comfortable on my feet. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'm never going to be the most sort of technically gifted kickboxer. One, I don't think it's my style, and two, I won't put the time into it. But I think I've got enough that I can like shut down some of their stuff, play my game, and I like think I'm growing into like a full-rounded like, MMA fight, you know.
Yeah, I mean, tell me what you think, because my views on it. I've never fought MMA, but I've done a lot of sparring MMA. I boxed, I've done jiu-jitsu, obviously wrestled, all that stuff. I think you don't need to be too heavy in everything. I think you should have sort of a style and a base, and sort of branch out from there in terms of shutting other stuff down to get to your area. Sort of could be like, even if the style's not like that, Israel Adesanya is another example, completely different. But be interested to get your views on like people that come in and they try and get too good on everything, because I'm sure you see it in gyms. We've all seen it, right? And they end up kind of petering out and not really being very good. Is that your experience or not?
Yeah. I think look, you do get those guys that just seem to be like fucking good everywhere. But me, I think play to your strengths and I guess where you feel most comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like I like being like, you know, up in people's faces quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? So that's very boxing heavy. I can throw a head kick. Am I ever going to get a head kick like knockout on my record? I think it's unlikely. But like I like blasting people's legs. You know, if I'm in range to throw my hands, I'm in range to hit my takedowns. I think they. So yeah, I guess I've built my whole style around that. But like you said with Adesanya's is like use his range, his counter wrestling is very good. You know, where he might be focusing less on double legging you and more like stuffing your takedown, winning the scramble, and then fucking peppering you on the feet. You know?
And Pereira might be even a more extreme example, because he seems like he ain't got any interest in wrestling. He won the title by knocking the geezer out whilst he was getting taken down, really, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So I think there's different ways to skin a cat in there, but it seems like you got your head screwed on and you're all kicked on. But let's move on a little bit to sort of, let's go 2 years from now, right? This is our last amateur fight. Let's say, God willing, everything goes well, you turn pro. Where are you in 2 years, mate?
I'm fighting at Octagon. I'd like to have like a 3-0, 4-0 record as a pro.
Is it full time by then? Are we talking like?
I mean, it's pretty full time now.
Oh, is it really?
I mean? I quit. I quit all the sort of like, you know, I had almost like a career before this. Do you know what I mean? I was in like an industry where I could have earned good money. And
what was you doing? Do you mind telling me?
I was a water mains engineer.
Okay, so it's proper. You're in it. Kind of ladder type situation.
That's it. And I've been there for a while. But you know, I've quit that, and now I'm in the gym all day, every day. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's like training, coaching, PTing, this is my, you know, I train 2-3 times a day, as long as I'm not completely fucked. And you know, I'm a full-time athlete now. I'm a pro. I just haven't been given the contract yet. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think 2 years. That's where I'll be. I think 3-0 as a pro, fighting on Octagon, and you know, people shit the bed a little bit when they know they're going to fight me. You know,
kicking down Dana's door.
Yeah, that's it.
Pick up an old geezer.
Making noise.
Yeah. And do you do much training in the gi? Because firstly, when we met. We actually met before that in enough. We met again here. Yeah. Team Elevate. Shout out Elevate. We're doing a lot of shout outs, aren't we? But we met here in a gi class, and I didn't know he was an MMA fighter, obviously, right? We just thought there was a couple of gi boys. We were both blue belts at the time as well, right? And just sort of like rolling about, whatever. But we met in a Nuffield before that and tried to work out who we knew and all that, right? So yeah, from there, was you already an MMA fighter? I take it from there, and you was just doing a gi class for the fuck of it, or what's going on with the gi?
How would I say? Sort of before I had my first MMA fight, just after the lockdown, and I kind of haven't done a lot of gi since. I did train in the gi last week. I trained more in the gi last week than I did the whole of last year, and I did really enjoy it. It was good fun. It was like sweaty and painful and gritty, and it was a good crack. But I try and think there's only a certain times I can train in a week. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot, but like I get fucking tired. Do you know what I mean? And bang for your buck and stuff. And I just think am I better off pissing about with like De La Riva guards and lapel guards and all that shit, or like working my cage wrestling, learning how to close the distance more? I just think not training in a gi is more applicable to what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? When I retire, I quite like the idea of being sort of like that 45-year-old stud who just like deadlifts and does gi. But not right now, you know.
Yeah, I got you. Do you ever find that there's benefit in gi and sort of getting tied up in the gi and figuring your way out of it? Because I've found with mine, where I'm quite wrestling heavy, I can be quite explosive in positions. And I like being in the gi sometimes with a tricky gi guys got a guard and sort of not let them have position, but once they've got their grips and whatever, then sort of really start going to work. But I mean, MMA, you got strikes as well, so it's a little bit different. But
yeah, but 100%. Like a lot of my game is on being sort of athletic and explosive. My main triangle escape involves me like being sweaty and doing like this crazy sort of like roll. And that doesn't work in a gi, right? I got Mene, the guy I spoke about earlier, he completely like just lapelled me up the other day. Do you know what I mean? I was fucking burn on hitting these triangles. I guess it does. You have to be a lot more cognitive than just like you know, aggressive and explosive. But in a fight, I'm going to be aggressive and explosive, right? Do you know what I mean?
It's nice to have the technical aspect in your back pocket as well, isn't it? Because we're all doing it, especially early, you're dry, business.
What do they, I can't remember who said it, but they say like gi's like it's jiu-jitsu with the stabilizers on, right? So it's like really learning the technique, how to off balance, all that sort of stuff.
Did you start jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu's sake, or was it always MMA?
I kind of have no I think it's, I guess, jiu-jitsu to start off with. You know, I heard it was like, this is really fun and like practical to win in a fight. I liked that we were going like live. I had no interest in like martial arts in terms of like fucking Aikido and like that wasn't my bag.
Why not? I'm fucking with you.
Nice. But as soon as I started doing it, I was like, all right, I want to know that this like it works. Do you know what I mean? And it was definitely my intentions was more fighting based than like being a martial artist.
It goes two ways, doesn't it? Some people get into jiu-jitsu to go to MMA and they end up falling in love with jiu-jitsu, but you hear it a lot the other way as well. But do you train the individual sports for the sake of them? Do you think it's benefit to train wrestling for wrestling's sake and use that for MMA, or is it always geared towards MMA for you? In terms of the session itself, do you always have strikes?
So I do train. I think you should train towards MMA specifically, but I do the opposite. I fucking love wrestling. Like I love it. It's MMA I will do for as long as I love it, my body holds out, or like I tick, or I do the things I want to do in the sport. I want to wrestle. I want to be like fucking 60 and teaching people how to do Granby rolls and shit, you know. So I do like on Fridays I put a singlet on here and I wrestle for just to wrestle.
You do singlet, the boots,
yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool.
But usually everything is sort of MMA based. I don't. My jiu-jitsu is very. I don't get a lot of submissions in my jiu-jitsu rounds. I try and like win the scramble, be heavy on top, think, can I posture up at this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever work on your guard and things like that, or are you more always towards MMA, always to your feet and stuff like that?
I always work to get to my feet. To be honest, my guard's pretty shit.
Don't say that on
but sorry, That's maybe I'm just spinning them a yarn. But I'm fairly good at getting to my feet and wrestling up from those positions. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely it's sort of I've got a very MMA specific game, I think.
Nice. So we've been through sort of your MMA journey. Let's go. I want to go back a little bit further. What sort of kid was you at 10? Was you a footballer? Was you just a normal kid? And where'd you grow up?
10. So I grew up around here. I grew up in Twickenham. I kind of always I loved drama and sport. I liked performing and I liked fucking running around and getting amongst it. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't not academic in the sense that like if I'd applied myself to academia, I probably could have been smart. I just didn't. It didn't fucking interest me. Do you know what I mean? I was far more interested in like making the class laugh. Do you know what I mean? That's it. I loved football.
Who's your team? Might fall out here.
I was Chelsea boy.
Good boy. Well done.
Okay.
Nice. Back on the
yeah.
Carry on.
I'm less into it now, if I'm honest.
Don't have time, right?
Yeah, don't have time, and I'm just not into that now. But I've always been very sporty. I can remember. I remember watching my grandpa boxed, right, and I can remember watching this program. It was like a series with Stephen Fry in it, right, and this kid fought a bully, and he threw uppercut, hook, cross, right, and I didn't know what the fuck it was, but I remember seeing it and being like, that's the fucking move, like whatever he just did, is a thing. And then I had a fight with a guy that I'm actually friends with now about a week later, and I threw that. I was like, I'm going to do that combo. Although I wouldn't say I was like a violent or miscreant 10-year-old, I was kind of up for like scrapping the kids down the park. And
you've got brothers and sisters and things.
Yeah, I've got a brother. I've got a younger brother.
A younger brother.
We didn't actually have that many tear-ups as growing up.
Is he like you? Is he into martial arts?
No. He loves football. He's a big Brentford fan. He loves a beer. He lifts a lot and he trains. I think he would be. I find the younger one always gets the better genes, right? Like he's he's stronger than me. He's bigger than me.
Okay.
He could be a stud, but he's just not up for. He's not up for it.
It's up here though, a lot of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You see a lot of, like I used to work in Twickenham in the gym.
Yeah.
People used to come in and tell me about rugby, and I play this position. I play number 8. Like to me, what I know about rugby, I could write on the back of a poster stamp. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't getting it. But some of them, like I'd talk to them about. I was just getting into jiu-jitsu, and I was talking to them about that, and they was all of the mind. I'm like, oh no, fuck that. But they're like, some of them are sort of 6'6", fucking 120 kilos. And it could be if they got into it. It could be a problem, phenomenal. Right? But they don't, each their own, I guess. But a lot of players do wrestling, which was how the subject sort of started. But they always looked at it as like that was almost like lifting weights for them. Like that was to help their rugby. It wasn't as a
I find rugby players that get into this game, they go two ways. They come to like the first few sessions, they get smashed by someone that's smaller than them and they vanish. Or they get right into it and within 6 months they're like they're starching the whole gym. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I think we're going on the size thing. I mean you're a bit bigger than me. How tall are you?
6'1", I think.
6'2",
on my hinge.
6'2", I'm 6 foot if I wear shoes. It's like I feel like this sort of size, we're quite lucky in terms of we're big enough to go with big lumps to get training and feel that pressure. But you're also small enough to get enough out of a smaller guy who's fast and whatever, which is of a benefit, which I think sometimes you go to the big lumps and they come in, they get turned over by a geezer who weighs 10 stone. They don't want to know, do they? That's game over. But it is what it is. Anyways, let's move on again. We're jumping about a bit, but UFC 300. Seen it or not?
I
know we're a bit past it, but we'll have a chat about 300. I got some views. I did a podcast with my mate Tom. Shout out Tom Jackman, and we went into detail on it. We had the fights in front of us, and we sort of like went through it in quite detail. But it'd be interesting to get someone else's opinion. Who does MMA? He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He knows what he's talking about. But from your point of view, let's start from the top. Tell me.
I think he's probably like the scariest man on planet Earth. I think.
Huge problem.
Huge problem. I'm interested to see if he goes up, what he does. I'm like, I'm a big Aspinall fan, and I saw Aspinall. He said that thing about he was sat next to him, and he got that energy of like this guy reckons he can beat me.
I heard that,
So like, who knows what can happen there? It's like one of the coldest knockouts I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean?
Unbelievable. I got this from him. I thought he's mad. I think he's huge too, right? He's like. They say
he cuts a lot of weight as well, doesn't he? He does like 12.
Well, they say by the time he got in the changing room, by the time he got in the cage, he was 232, which is mad.
Huge. He's a monster.
And he was a lighter weight before that, so fuck knows how he made that. But there's a photo of him or video of him floating around with Tyson Fury, and he ain't that much shorter than Tyson Fury. Now, how tall? They say 6'9", 6'9", I don't think, but he's got to be 6'7", isn't he? So
he's a big boy.
How big's Pereira? 6'5"-ish. I'd love to see him fight Tom. I think he might. There's a chance he could chin him. Would you think?
Tom can wrestle.
I was going to say, firstly, I'd favour Tom in the fight, but he got caught early against Pavlovich in his last one, right? He shook it off. But
Pereira's got. He's hitting you with like the weight of South America. It seems. Do you know what I mean?
He's unbelievable. But it could also go the other way. It could be Tom grabs hold of him in 30 seconds and
fucks him on the floor.
But the other one obviously is John Jones. Got 3 people in heavyweight that excite me. Who's coming out on top out of the 3 of them?
I think Jones.
Got to go Jones.
Yeah, I think Jones. I want like Aspinall. Do you know what I mean? And I think British MMA is like rocketing at the moment, and I think it's only going one way. And I think we are going to have like we'll have world champions across the board. Within
I think it's coming.
10 years.
I think he's the right age. He's the right size. He's the right everything for heavyweight. But at the three of them, I look at John Jones.
Jones, man,
as the top dog as well. But I also think Aspinall's got a good chance of beating him style-wise. And I also think Pereira's got a good chance of beating Aspinall style-wise.
Which is nice, right?
Like, it is nice. It is nice. But then Pereira versus John Jones, I go, he could catch him, but then I go, that means he's got a lot of chance.
I think Jones will just pick him up.
But John Jones got a lot of injuries. He's had 2 surgeries, the shoulder, and he had the opposite elbow apparently done as well. So who knows? We'll see when it comes back. But yeah, Pereira, I thought that was a mad one. It's exciting for him to go to heavyweight. Yeah, man. Do you have much interest in the 2 Chinese ladies fighting?
I don't, and I didn't even watch it. And I know it's like, listen, there's loads of like girls on my team, and they're fucking amazing athletes, and I watch all of their fights, but I didn't watch it.
Probably the women's division is too patchy, isn't it? Like there's some really good fighters, but then there's some girls that are,
shite.
Exactly. And it is what it is because not as many women want to get punched in the face.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're.
But it's levels, isn't it?
Put like a number on my back.
Just killed ourselves.
Do you know what I mean?
Should we talk about women's football as well? Get some interest.
Yeah, someone's going to be.
Someone's going to be upset. But it is what it is, isn't it? There's just not as many women that want to have a tear up as there is men.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The other fight I wanted to get to, but we'll skip to it now. Why not? Is the Kayla Harrison versus Holly Holmes. Did you catch any of that fight?
No, but I'm a fan. Holly lost, right?
Holly lost. But I'm more interested in the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Did you see what Kayla Harrison looked like on the scales?
No, is it horrendous?
Well, no, she just looks like the Incredible Hulk, like the most muscular thing you've ever seen, man or woman. Yeah. And it's like, USADA's gone now. I'm not dropping any hints, but like,
I hear you.
What's going on there?
It's going to be, the sport's going to be tainted in it. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think about steroids? Are you sort of complete anti, or should we just open the floodgates and let people have
No, I don't think we should open the floodgates. I think you'd get mutants and it'd become like really dangerous.
Yep.
I think in terms of like injury recovery, it can help.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It can really help speed up your fucking recovery. And I think in some countries it's almost prescribed. I think in Turkey and shit they'll prescribe DECA when you're injured.
Is that right?
Actually, wow. So I think it could be used to aid with like injury recovery, but I don't.
I'm in 2 minds in it. I've never used any steroids at all. I don't know much about them, but immediately I go, you can't have it. But then I go, if it was regulated, people would take the right amounts, not be juiced out of their minds, right? They do give them the best performance, and it's got to be safer.
Yeah.
Then it's like you can do that at the top level.
I'd like to see Olympic sports full juice.
What are they doing? Have you heard of the untested games?
I was chatting. I want to see the shot put 100 meters. I think that's what I just think. A fight is like people start dying. Do you know what I mean? Imagine John Jones. I know like there's speculation with him or Aspinall. Imagine you juice Aspinall up to the gills. And then he lands like an overhand right on someone. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
But if they're juiced too, does it help them?
I don't think you can juice your brain though. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. But the argument would be like people say about Fedor, don't they? When Fedor was in Pride, he was bulletproof. As soon as he was out of Pride and he was in the US, he was getting touched on the whiskers and flattened. So, I don't know. It's what it is, isn't it?
I think I don't think it should be in combat for performance enhancement. No. Do you know what I mean? I think in terms of like recovery, yes, I think there's a place for it. In terms of like. Performance enhancing, not. That doesn't mean people won't do it, and there's like not ways around ways around it. But that's sort of my opinion.
Are you much of a boxing fan, like pure boxing? Do you watch much?
Not really.
Because the big one recently, I don't know if you saw the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fight.
He got popped.
He got popped in the last few days. But did you watch the fight at all by any chance?
No, I've seen the win
because he's. Special cat, you know what I mean? I don't know what testing they're getting. I think a lot of boxers are probably on it anyway, right? At the top level, like Canelo been popped a few times, and he kind of got brushed under. He got a 6-month ban. He just missed the fight basically. He's still getting paid
like work, right?
Well, exactly. Well, I had this chat with my mate the other day, just talking about like how they can get away with it. And to me, if he lives in Mexico, right? So he earns 35 million a fight. A guy comes up to test him, he probably earns, let's say, being kind to him, 50 grand a year. Canelo goes, right, here you go. You can test me, but I'm juiced to the fucking tits. How about there's a bag there with 250 grand in it? You get hold of that and you piss in the cup for me, and I'll see you later.
Look, man, I think cheating is like people are going to do whatever they need to do to win in like any aspect of life. Do you know what I mean? And I certainly don't encourage or condone it, but you as an athlete need to be aware that like someone is doing every single fucking thing they can to like get ahead. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I guess it's important to like have an awareness around that. Do you know what I mean? Well, also, and in like, Kello's position, it fucking makes sense.
Makes
do you
sense.
know what I mean?
100%, especially if you're that kind of money. Like
straight. And Garcia's fucking and in his like I get it. I certainly get it.
I get it.
Do you know
and
what
also,
I mean?
if you think your opponent's on it,
it's
what it is. And if the test is not random, there's a lot of ways, isn't there? There's a lot of ways around it. But the Juan Manuel Marquez back in the day, do you remember him when he beat Pacquiao? He knocked out Pacquiao. He went through like a second puberty at 39.
And
out
was
jacked
like,
up, knocked Pacquiao dead. Is what it is, isn't it? But all right. Upcoming fights for the UFC. Anything on the horizon that hasn't been booked yet? So not actual fights that have been booked.
What that I'd like to see.
You want to see that's coming? That's potential. We're not talking like Brock Lesnar versus Fedor. We're talking like
I hear you. I'd like to see Conor back in the mix.
Yep. What do you think about his next one first?
I was talking to people last night and they think Conor. I think Chandler. It depends what Conor's been up to. I think if he's like looks like he's been smashing the bag as well as the Trembolone recently.
He slimmed down a bit, and something's coming
out. But as far as like Instagram would indicate, all Chandler does is fucking get after it. Do you know what I mean? And I'd like to see Chandler do it. So let's say Chandler.
Oh, really? Think
Chandler? I think it's. I think Conor would piece him up on his feet. If Chandler can take him down. Fuck knows.
I think it depends a lot on Conor. I think prime Conor.
It's what Conor. It's what Conor turns up.
Left, and he's so rich now, isn't he? Like, what's he care?
I think this is it. This is like the where is the incentive? Like, really, where is it? The guy is like a millionaire hundreds of times over. You know. And waking up sore and having to train sore is like you need some demons to go and do that. Do you know what I mean? And I think you lose those demons when you're waking up on a yacht. Do you know what I mean?
And life's different too, right? He's got 3 kids.
He's
not
got
on the dole anymore. When he got the UFC, he's on the dole.
He's just bought into the fucking BK. Was it the bare knuckle?
The bare knuckle promotion.
I think maybe be a businessman now for him. But I'd like to see for who he is. I'd like them all to get a pop. Do you know what I mean? I'd like Gaethje to have a go. I'd like Holloway to have a go. Because they're all going to retire very rich men after that. Do you know what I mean?
Because I think they're lucky they're at a time now where social media is so big, sponsors are so big.
Man.
When you retire from fighting, if you've been at a good level, you're set, right? Which is nice. You want them to do that because you see the old time boxers that are staring off into the distance and don't know what's going on.
I think that is really the reality in this game. You know, I'm certainly not in. If my focus was money, I would have stayed in the job that I was in, and I'd have got into fucking property or fuck knows what else. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to make bank as an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? And you need skill, you need determination, you need luck, you need a lot of things to align. Do you know what I mean? I think like everyone that I know is doing it for like this weird fucking esoteric obsession. Do you know what I mean? It's not about money. Very few make the millions, you know. So
safer than boxing or not? Do you think?
Yes, I think so. I think because there's so much. I think the sparring is different. You know, I spar with a degree of intensity, but it's only like once a week that I'm getting the head trauma, right? Where I've sparred in boxing gyms or been in boxing gyms, those motherfuckers fight every single night. Do you know what I mean? And they're all fucked after like 10 years. So I think it's safer than in MMA. They say it's it's small consecutive blows that gives you the CTE. In MMA, you're much more likely just to have like your lights shut off.
It's over once you hit the floor.
That's it. I think boxing is far worse for like your brain.
But sorry, I jumped in there. I cut off, mate, about fights you wanted to watch. We got on a tangent after Conor and Chandler. Anything else that sticks out?
I mean, I'm not. Listen, I'm a UFC fan, but like, there's lots of my teammates that like I want to see do big things.
Course,
you know,
shout out, man. Let them know.
Lonnie Kavanagh is he's on the Contender Series. You know, I want to see him break into the UFC and do bits in that division. I've got a mate, Teo, just fought on Octagon. He actually lost yesterday, but like it was a very skeptical decision. I'm looking forward to seeing like him do bits on that show. Loads of our guys in Cage Warriors that I think are going to do bits, and I want to see fight. You know, there's in terms of the UFC, I'm a bit of a Gaethje fanboy.
He had a rough night recently.
He did have a rough night.
He had a rough night. But I don't think his stock's diminished at all. He's everyone. I think the difference between MMA and boxing. A lot of boxing fans will criticise people when they lose, right? MMA, I think it's a bit more of an educated crowd because a lot of people train at least jiu-jitsu and watch it. And I think he's getting his praise, isn't he? Because he deserves it, doesn't he?
It was a good scrap, and he's a phenomenal athlete, and like I don't know, he was 50% of like a moment that everyone will chat about for forever. Do you know what I mean?
And do you know what? I was in, it's a funny story. I was in Denver where he trains, it's Boulder where he trains in a elevator. I didn't train with him or anything like that. I just went there. I only trained jiu-jitsu in the gym. But when I was there, I just chatting to the guys. They were very welcome, all that kind of stuff. But just as random, one of them picked me up in an Uber to take me to the airport the next day. And he's a pro fighter, and he was like, and he said he trains with Gaethje. I said, oh, you know, what's that like? And he said, well, he don't spar, he don't train, he just fights in the gym. He comes in the gym and just goes nuts. And he said, you better be ready for him. Which is, it goes back to brain trauma, really, doesn't it? Like if he's doing that every day, he's 35 now, I think. Like,
you can kind of hear it in his voice as well. Like, I think I can get pulled into a gym war quite easily, you know.
I think we all can, though, right? We've all been like silliness.
We're all a bit. I think you've got to be a bit thick to get into this anyway. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe not thick, but definitely have a certain disregard for your own safety. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I certainly need to train smarter. Do you know what I mean? I pulled out 2 fights this year because of injury, and I'm 30. Do you know what I mean? What am I doing? I need to be like, I need to be competing properly.
Do you have regular training partners that you kind of sensible with? That you
now I do. Yeah, now I do, and I'm trying to be way more stringent with like who I train with. But some of them are nutters. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's important too. Sometimes, as long as you know it's coming.
Right? Know that round.
If you park the ego, because like if you're not worried about what they're doing, you don't have to win the round. You do your thing, work on whatever you got to work on. I think it can be a benefit too, because when you get in there, they ain't.
For sure. I think you need to. You need. There's a place for hard sparring. You absolutely need it. Do you know what I mean?
And I'm always of the thought, if you can only do one aspect, it would be sparring, right? You're not gonna hit the bag. You're not
for sure. It's the closest thing to the fight. It's where you learn what actually works. It's where you can bin off techniques that don't work for you. It's where you actually see the holes in your game. Do you know what I mean? It needs to. We need to be going live. And I do love it. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking fun.
It's better, right? Otherwise, what you're doing it for. Before we wrap up with some questions and stuff, mate, what are you like in the change room? What kind of guy are you? Because people tell different stories, don't they? Some people are pacing, some people sit there with the music on. Before fight night, you're in the changing room, you're warmed up, you're getting ready to go.
I think stoic. I try and be stoic. Yeah.
Oh, you are?
I get warm, listen to my coaches. I'm quite big on like breath work. I'm looking to be calm. Do you know what I mean? I'll like pray a little bit. I'll pray. I'll meditate. I'll visualize. I'll get warm, and I try and harness all the fucking emotions that are like going through my head, and kind of walk through the fear. Right? Like I'm. Maybe some people don't get scared. I do. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the scariest thing you can do on earth. It's so bizarre. But when you actually make the walk, like I fucking transcend Earth. Do you know what I mean? I'm not Louis anymore. I'm not a fucking human being. It's like this. It's this bizarre experience, and like I like to be stoic and composed. That's the mindset I try and get into, like backstage. You know.
Good stuff. All right, mate. I'm going to stick some quick fire questions. Nice. When I say quick fire, it's not one word answers. It takes as long as you want. But just some simple ones that everyone can get involved with.
Nice.
Greatest fighter of all time. Any discipline, whatever you like.
I think Mike Tyson.
Good, mate. That was my answer.
I think Tyson.
Okay, cool.
Favorite
fighter to watch? Similar, but.
Favorite fighter. I think Dustin Gaethje.
Okay, nice. Okay, brilliant.
Justin Gaethje, sorry.
Yeah. Best fight you've ever seen? Again, any discipline.
Long Kavanagh, Dos Santos, or whoever the fuck he fought last. That was
good. That was a good. That was scrap, was it? We'll have to watch that one.
Lon absolutely pieced him up, but like for what it was, where I was watching it, who he is, that was the best one.
We've already said football team. Next one was football team, but that's Chelsea already.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Nice one. Before we wrap up, shout your fight out again, mate. Tell us where we can get tickets or whatever.
Yeah. August 3rd. It's at the Fight Star. The next Fight Star event is at the O2 in London at the Indigo. It's going to be probably my last one as an amateur. Like I said, I pulled out of 2 fights, so I'm training like an absolute beast for this one. It's either going to be an absolute barn burner, or you're going to watch me like annihilate my opponent. Please come support me. It's massive for us as amateurs to like build a following, and I will put on a show.
Bosh, nice one, Lou. Thanks for doing this,
Thanks,
mate.
bro. Thanks for having me.
Podcast. Bosh.
Nice
one, mate.